Dear viewers, let's start with a scene that should make any democracy uncomfortable. A government corridor, not a protest ground, not a police station, a collectorate, the place where the state claims it listens. A daily wage laborer stands there holding his blind mother's hand. The other hand clutching a plastic bag swollen with documents that now mean more to the state than his voice ever will. Aadhaar, identity proofs, his father's death certificate, evidence after evidence after evidence stacked neatly to prove one simple thing, that he exists. And still the door doesn't open. This is not a story about paperwork. This is a story about what happens when a system forgets that democracy begins with recognition, not regulation. The viral Indore video did not explode because a man shouted. India sees shouting every day. It did not go viral because someone lost their temper. Anger is routine in government corridors. It went viral because something far more unsettling happened. A man collapsed in public, not from hunger or illness, but from exhaustion at being invisible. Hello, I'm Tejas and you're watching Honest Take on Lokmat Times. In this video, let's understand what happened in Indore. What does the viral video show us about the Special Intensive Revision SIR and why this should serve as message to every citizen of this country. But before we start, our usual request. Please do subscribe to Lokmat Times if you haven't already and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Here is what actually happened. This wasn't some random outburst. This wasn't a man demanding special treatment. This happened outside a public grievance hearing, a Jan Sunwai, in the Indore Collectorate, a weekly exercise supposedly designed to hear exactly these kinds of problems. The backdrop was the ongoing voter list revision exercise, a technical process with life-altering consequences. The man alleges his name was deleted from the voter list despite submitting all required documents, not applying for a new voter ID, not asking for a favor, asking for restoration, correction, recognition. He has a blind mother. His father is dead. He is the only earning member of the family. Every Tuesday, he has been coming back. Every Tuesday, he is told to come back. Sometimes next week, sometimes with another form, sometimes with another sleep. And this Tuesday, he was told something even more revealing. You can't enter the hearing room without a meeting slip. Let that sentence sit with you. A Jan Sunwai with a gate pass. Inside officials, outside a man breaking apart. When he finally loses control, when his voice cracks and his knees buckle, what pours out is not rage but humiliation. He isn't abusing power, he is questioning it. Why don't collectors meet poor people? Why are the poor made to run every week? Why does no one listen? At one point, he tries to tear the documents, not because he doesn't need them, but because he finally understands how little they matter. His blind mother stops him. She clutches those papers like they are the last proof that her son's struggle isn't meaningless. That image should haunt anyone who has ever said it is just a procedure, because procedure is supposed to serve people, not crush them. The cruelty here is not accidental, it is built into the system. Every Tuesday, summons is not an invitation, it is attrition. For a daily wage laborer, every visit costs money. Bus fare, food, lost wages, physical strain, emotional depletion. The system knows this. It counts on it. Come enough times and people stop coming. Problems disappear. Files close themselves. This is how exclusion works in modern India. Not with lathis, but with queues. What makes this even more damning is the official response, or rather, the absence of one. The incident happened under administrative supervision. This was not an unattended building, and yet, after the video went viral, the response wasn't accountability. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't even a clarification of how such a deletion happened. The response was, we are trying to trace the man. Read that again. A citizen collapses while trying to access his most basic democratic right, and the state frames itself as a detective looking for him, not a defendant answering to him. The problem apparently is not the deletion, it is locating the deleted. There has been no public assurance that his name has been restored, no explanation of which officer erred, no helpline announced for others facing the same issue, no special window created for the elderly, disabled or poor caught in this revision exercise. Silence, administrative silence, the most polished form of arrogance. And that's where this stops being about Indore and starts being about the country. The SIR exercise is being sold as hygiene, cleaning, accuracy, technical necessity, but on the ground, it is becoming a sieve through which the most vulnerable fall out. Elderly people, disabled citizens, migrant workers, the urban poor, those who don't have the time, literacy, or energy to chase a system that refuses to meet them halfway. When your right to vote depends on navigating counters, slips, booths, and repeated visits, democracy quietly shifts from a right to a skill. Those who are organized, educated, digitally fluent survive. Those who aren't are erased politely, procedurally, with a stamp. And when they protest, they are filmed. That part matters too. The casual filming, phones coming out while a man collapses, no one stepping in, no urgency, no shame. This is what normalization looks like. Decades of bureaucratic humiliation have trained us to see suffering as content, a reel, not a rupture, something to forward, not fix. But let's be clear about one thing. Even if every single document detail in this case were debated, even if some procedural nuance exists, the core indictment stands untouched. A poor man with a blind mother was made to repeatedly prove his existence to a system that had already failed him. That alone is enough to call this a democratic failure, because democracy does not begin on polling day. It begins with recognition, with the state acknowledging you as a participant, not a problem. A system that cannot correct its own mistakes without pushing citizens to emotional collapse has no moral authority to lecture them about patience or procedure. A Jan Sunwai that requires a slip is not participation, it is theatre, and the poorest are always kept outside the auditorium. What this video exposes is not one officer's apathy, but a structural truth. In India, being poor means your rights are always provisional. You don't own them, you lease them, renewed at the discretion of clerks, counters, and calendars. This country treats being poor as a crime, the man repeatedly says. That line hurts because it doesn't sound exaggerated. It sounds familiar. If the state truly cared about clean voter rolls, it would build safeguards for those most likely to be wrongly deleted. Automatic notices, home verification for the elderly and disabled, single window grievance redressal, time-bound corrections, accountability when mistakes occur. Instead, what we see is indifference until outrage goes viral. And that is the most dangerous precedent of all. A democracy where dignity depends on virality is already in trouble. Today it is one man in Indore, tomorrow it will be another corridor, another city, another silent erasure. The question is not whether the system can trace this man. The question is whether it recognizes him at all. Because a state that cannot see its poorest citizens does not need an SIR. It needs a conscience. That's all for today's Honest Take with me, Tejas. If you found this video as heartbreaking as I did, please share it, comment on it, and keep watching Lokmat. Thanks for more such stories.